Farscape Academy inspector training video. Here we are in Sharon Hills and Pennsylvania. We're looking at this Farscape here. Several things. The Farscape has rotted. The feet have rotted off, as you can see. So, looking for evidence of maintenance. Farscape must be load tested, or satisfactory evidence must be supplied to the fire official or the authority having jurisdiction that the Farscape has significant strength to avoid and not need require load test. So I'm looking for evidence of any maintenance. I got nothing but original hardware on the entire Farscape. No evidence of any maintenance anywhere other than some welding that has occurred due to a brake failure or tread failure, and they welded it but they didn't remove the rust. So basically inappropriate repairs were done. The whole entire structure is all original hardware. There isn't anything that I can find anywhere on this Farscape, but I am finding rust, growth. So all these have got to be cleaned out, then rebolted. All the rivets, for example, if this rivet is nice and tight, you leave it. But I need a backup bolt in between the two so that we can avoid having to cut these rivets out. Otherwise, if it's faster and cheaper for the client to knock these rivets out and rebolt it, do so. But we got a lot of the rails. The rails are gone on this particular Farscape here. So, you know, a lot of this stuff will just probably be new rails required. You can create a patch, you should be able to do that, but in some of these things, you know, the Farscape sometimes is worth getting a new rail system, but that could be an add-on. Again, all the casts, footings are all snapped, all these are full of rust. See that? 100% change that out, put in new bolts, seal it with silicone prior to putting it in. All these treads are cast iron treads, every single one of these. So 4 bolts are holding out. You got to take out the bolts, take out the treads, clean it, put it back, silicone shut it with new 3/8 bolts on all the treads. 100% refurbishment. I got to clean all this rust. All that rust has got to be cleaned out. Take out those square head bolts, and I want hex head bolts everywhere. All this has got to be cleaned out. Take out these rivets and put in new bolts. And because you got to remove the rust. Wherever it's nice and tight, just change out the bolts. Leave it nice and tight. You don't have to separate it. But wherever it's been separated already, you got to separate it, and then you got to silicone shut it. See the gussets? They're all shot. Yeah, but this is probably one of the worst corners that I've got in the whole structure. This gusset probably needs to be replaced if that metal is all worn. So check the thickness of the metal. If you don't have at least 75 to 80% still left of metal, then you got to replace the metal. But it should be all right, depending once you open it up. But you know, you got to be prepared. They're all triangle gussets on all the corners. All these corners got to be swapped out. Change the bolts, silicone shut it. Underneath, like up there, you got a lot of the framework that is starting to separate because water's getting in. So make sure that all these plates, you seal these joints. Probably down there, probably where there's joints to be sealed down there so water doesn't get in there. So that you can get in here and start cleaning these of any and all rust, and then seal it so water doesn't get in between the two pieces of metal and create ice jacking or rust jacking. All your stringer clips, tops and bottoms, they're all rotted and filled with rot. We need all those cleaned. All these corners. Once you clean that out, I need you to silicone shut it, then I need you to build it up. A lot of times we put tar in there and create a big bump over there so that snow and dirt doesn't accumulate in there, okay? So Farscapes don't have to be pretty, but you have to protect it against rust and protect it against snow accumulation. A lot of times salt is thrown on these things. Standard connections back into the building, reinforce them, and sometimes if you can't verify that, just leave that one alone. Make sure it's tight though, but then next to it, seal it with put a new lag bolt into the building, then seal it up above. Make sure no water is getting into these. There's been some sealing from before, but it looks like some of that sealing has cracked. All these cast footings. See the problem? All these railings have to be verified, and a lot of them are shot. And you can't go back into this hole, so we're going to have to make a bracket. So a lot of times the rails, it's faster, cheaper, and guaranteed to swap out these rails because they just keep getting worse and worse as you go through. So again, a lot of it is just standard bolting technology. Get into these corners and swap that out. You swap out these bolts and we don't need to load test it. You see, gone. Guy came in here, welded it. You know, bolt is there, the head is there. So all the stringer clips, gone. So cast iron, A lot of times the biggest problem with cast, they don't weld, but it doesn't repair very well. See the weld? See this thing here? Welded, welded, welded. And a lot of times, you know, cast does not weld back to steel very well. This fire escape is probably 75 to 100 years old, and that's the main problem. These are all cast iron treads. They're still in good condition, and any cast iron tread that is broken should be removed and a steel one put in its place that mimics or looks like this one in size and shape. You know, you got a lot of railing that is loose, 100%. You got rotten corners, so you need to sister up a lot of this steel. And again, we're trying to avoid the load test. Any joint, any corner that's made, you got to remove 100% of rust. Look at all that rust in that corner there. So you got to make sure that you pull all that out, clean it out, and then when you seal it, you got to seal it with 50-year silicone. And then you got to create a bump in there so that when the water gets in there, it dries out. You got to get this stuff out of the dirt. The dirt is rotting the feet here. So a lot of times what we'll do is we'll come in here and remove this and put this on a stone pedestal or a cement pedestal. And a lot of times you can dig this up and either infill it with concrete and then tar the feet prior to encasing it in concrete so that the concrete doesn't rot the steel that's inside the concrete. Same thing there. We're gonna get that foot, you know, landscaped it so that it doesn't rot the bottom rails. Standard repair. See, get all this. This is all general repairs. These foot, you want to paint this cement so that it doesn't absorb water anymore, but at the same time you want to tar this foot so that water and snow doesn't accumulate in there. And you got to get a bump of tar in here so that the water gets out of there, create some weepage on this. So a lot of these are original hardware underneath. So all these bolts, 100% of the tread bolt must be replaced. All the rust must be 100% removed. And let's take a look at over the tire structure. So all major superstructural connections, all original rivets and square head bolts that are superstructure must be 100% removed or replaced. And in some cases where possible, because they're in good to excellent condition, you can reinforce them by backing them up with a bolt near it. Otherwise, change out all the superstructure bolts. All the tread bolts have to be removed. All square head bolts on the cast iron treads, 100% of them must be removed. Fire escape does have lead. It's older than 1978, so EPA renovator's license is required to touch this fire escape, whether it's in the paint or in repair mode. And whether or not they want a gate back down here to close this off to stop people from breaking in, that's to be discussed. I don't see the gate anywhere around here. It probably got destroyed. And 100% of all the rails need to be removed because they're all rotted from the inside out. So 100% of all the rails on this fire escape must be changed and matched with similar rails. If there's no children in this building, then, you know, we can add a few more lines on the rails. Otherwise, if there's going to be children at this building, then we recommend that all the rails be traditional and at least 42 inches high, and they run 4 inches on center on the bars. Any questions on this or any part of this fire escape video, all the photographs we're about to provide, please give me a call. This is Inspector Meneses, Fire Escape Engineers, 800-649-3333, 800-649-3333.